which is awesome. Adam, you're around?
I am here. Hello,
Cool.
everybody.
My name is Bert Campbell. I'm just helping Adam out today. I'm kind of his right-hand man so that he can kind of focus on the webinar, and I can help with some of the on the control panel if anybody has any questions or concerns or comments or anything like that. I am actually curious, and this might be a bit selfish of me, Adam. I'm just actually curious where everybody's from. There's the chat box in your lower, I guess it is right-hand corner of the control panel. If you could just type in where you're from, that'd be awesome. I'm just, like I said, kind of selfish, just kind of seeing where everybody's from, which part of the world or which part of the country kind of thing. So, yeah, go ahead. St. Louis, of course, I guess, yeah, St. Louis would be the main place. Naturally, what was I thinking? So,
where it's a beautiful 70 degrees today.
Nice. Adam, I was just thinking, like I had met you, I guess it'd be like 2012 or something like that at Perry Marshall's, one of his Rainmaker seminar, I guess is what it was, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah, it was.
And then from there, and I'd already been aware of your work through, well, I call it Crazy Egg Blog, but it's not the Crazy Egg Blog, it's the, what do they call it?
The Daily Egg.
The Daily Egg with a few 100,000 followers. But I had already kind of been a bit familiar with your work. And then I know from there we started a, just with a whole bunch of guys that we'd actually met at the meeting, but we started a mastermind group. And a lot of these guys are like high-level marketers, mainly in, I guess, the pay-per-click or the AdWords space. I mean, we really got to know each other, and we really got to know, I mean, I'm talking like, issues with whatever it was, work-related, relationship-related, and all that jazz. And we were, I mean, obviously, when you get into a tight group, of guys, and this has been since 2012 that we started this mastermind group, and we talked every week. I got to know you pretty well, and everybody, I mean, pretty open, pretty vulnerable. And one of the things that I do remember, right from day one, is that you always had this passion for, small businesses, right? And I mean, you've done a few presentations and seminars, and your whole main focus was small business. Yeah, and I don't know, dig into that a little bit. Like I'm just, kind of, it is kind of the, kind of segue or the preface into, today's webinar.
Yeah, I come from a long line of small business owners, local business owners, and it's just always been a passion of mine, and that's kind of one of the reasons I decided this is the first webinar that I'm holding myself, and the stuff that we've discovered together really over the last 6 months or so has really changed the game for local business owners. So that's why I'm really excited to share it with everybody today.
Nice. And with that too, and as Adam said, this is the first, I'll say, webinar that we've done on this topic, which is cool. I mean, you guys are like the first to see this. But with that, I mean, there might be a few hiccups or something like that. Just bear with us and just push through kind of thing. So. And as the webinar is going along, there's that chat box that you saw down in the lower right-hand corner. If you have any questions as Adam's going through this, he'll take a few minutes to kind of pause at certain intervals. But just if you have a question, just type it in the chat box, and either I'll bring it up or Adam will take a look at it, and then we can open up at the end if need be for any other additional questions or anything like that. So. And all that being said, I think that's about it. And we'll keep everybody on mute just for the sake of, like, there's always that background noise. But like I said, any questions or comments, just bring it up in the chat box. And then we'll go from there. But I'll let you take the reins, Adam.
Great. Well, thank you, Bert, for helping out and helping man the chat box and answer questions. And Bert knows about as much about all this as I do. So if you have questions, certainly fire away, and he'll be able to answer them. So first, welcome to the webinar, everybody. I really appreciate you being here. You made a really smart decision to invest some time today to join us, because there have been some huge changes in the internet marketing landscape over just the past 6 to 12 months, especially for local businesses, and it's literally transformed the way that we operate. Who we work with and what we do for them has dramatically changed just in the last 6 months, and exactly what has changed and how we're applying it to campaigns is really what we're going to be talking about today. So we got a lot to cover, so let's just jump in and start with what you're about to learn today. Obviously, this being the the title of the webinar, we're going to talk about the #1 way in 2015 to generate high-quality internet leads for your business, and specifically for local businesses. We're going to talk about how, with this method of lead generation, your phone can be ringing with these high-quality leads within just hours of your campaign launching. We're not talking about something that's going to take months. This is something that can have a real and meaningful impact in hours and days after launching the campaign.
Hey, Adam, sort of interrupt. I guess, thanks, Susie, for bringing it up, but there's a little orange box with a white arrow in the upper right-hand corner of the screen to find the chat box. I didn't realize that you guys don't actually have it up on the screen. So it's a little orange box with a white arrow in the upper right of the screen to find the chat box. Sorry about that, Adam. Go ahead.
Okay. Thanks, Bert. We're going to talk about how it's now possible to track your ROI down to the penny so that you have real and measurable results. And so you always know what your exact cost per lead is. And this is a big issue because I talk to local business owners all the time. And I ask them, well, how is your marketing going? And the response is, well, it's going pretty well, or it's going great, or, well, I'm really struggling. Whatever the answer is, when I kind of push and dig in and try and get the details, most business owners really don't know the numbers. So that's just such a critical piece of the puzzle, and we're going to talk about how, #1, why it's important to know the numbers, and number 2, how this method of lead generation and the way that we're going to show you how to do it, you will know what your numbers are and what your ROI is. Excuse me. We are going to talk about how you can test this method on a small scale to confirm that it works. This isn't something you have to go all in with right away. Test it out small, confirm it works, and then you can scale it up massively once you see the results for yourself. We're going to talk about the obstacles that both local businesses and ad agencies face when trying to have success with this method of lead generation. And these are the things that sabotage their efforts. And we're going to talk about how you can get around them. Now, even if you've heard about the method of lead generation and the strategy we're going to be talking about today, there are a lot of myths and misconceptions out there. And we're going to talk about what those are and again, how you can avoid them. And lastly, I want you to come away with some concrete takeaways. So we're going to go over examples of actual ads and also high converting lead generation pages so you can see exactly what they look like. Okay, so first things first, I have an important question for everybody to consider. And I'd love for you to write this down and think about it logically. If your business was going to be shut down next week if you don't get some new leads, how would you go about generating new leads that turn into clients for your business fast? And if you want, Bert, I'll take just a couple seconds if people want to type in some answers in the chat box.
Yep. And newspaper ad. And let's see here. I have no idea. All right. Thanks for being honest.
Good, good. You will soon. You will soon.
There you go.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll get back to this question in a moment. I want to take just a minute to answer the question, who is Adam Kriteman? Now, most of you on this webinar are probably on my newsletter list, so you're at least familiar with my writing. But if you're going to invest the time here with us today, I think it's only fair that you know why you should pay attention to what I have to say. So I'm the owner of Words That Click. We're an online marketing firm. We will be 8 in June. And for the last 4 of those years, we've been named the best marketing firm, or one of the best marketing firms in St. Louis, voted in by clients, colleagues, competition. It's always humbling when that time of year comes along. Very proud of that, and we're one of the few internet marketing only firms to make that list. So I'm pretty proud of that. I'm also a regular contributor to top marketing blogs. Bert mentioned the Daily Egg, the Crazy Egg blog earlier. I've written for Digital Marketer, which is, if you've heard of Ryan Deiss, who's one of the top internet marketing gurus out there, right for his blog. Have had articles appear in Internet Marketing Magazine and other publications. And you know, the reason that a lot of these publications want me to write for them, and in many cases pay me to write for them, is I just seem to have a knack for explaining things clearly, and hopefully you'll find that to be the case today on this webinar. Change the picture up a little bit. Yes, that is me, and that is not photoshopped. This was my 40th birthday. I went scuba diving down at Epcot in a 6 million gallon aquarium with sharks and turtles and rays and fish. And the best part about it was my family got to watch through the window, and my little, she was 5 at the time, she was holding up a sign that said, "I hear sharks like to eat 4-year-olds," which fortunately, well, as you can tell, I'm here talking about it today, so that didn't happen. Anyway, let's get back to the more important stuff. I was a co-founder of the Main Street Marketing Community. This was a community we set up a few years back. I did it with my good friend Bob Summers, and is just dedicated to helping local business owners. And we don't do as much with it anymore. We still have a small presence on Facebook. But you know, as I said at the beginning, I just have always had a passion for helping local business owners, and you know, Main Street Marketing Community is part of that. I was the internet marketing expert on a TV show for entrepreneurs that appeared on ABC. Despite the photo over there to the left, it was not Shark Tank. It was a local show here in St. Louis, and it was an interesting experience for someone who much rather prefers being behind the camera than in front of it. And probably most importantly is, over the years, I've managed millions of dollars in ad spend. In fact, we manage millions of dollars in ad spend every year. And I've been behind the scenes of hundreds of campaigns, and I know what works, I know what doesn't. And again, out of anything I've seen over the years, what we're going to talk about today is by far the most effective system for lead generation I've seen for local business owners. All right, so let's get back to that million-dollar question I asked a minute ago. If your business was to be shut down next week, if you don't get some new leads, how would you go about generating new leads that turn into clients for your business fast?
We got a couple more answers. Just to say, sample obligation-free sessions from Dwayne, and send a mass email campaign is what John mentioned. So.
Yep. Okay. Cool. Well, let's take a look at what many small business owners try. So newspaper ads. Somebody mentioned newspaper ads. The problem is newspaper doesn't have a high readership level anymore, so they're kind of outdated, and those ads tend to go stale. Billboards can be pretty expensive, and they go stale as well. There's TV, which is very expensive and tends to have a low ROI. There's the Yellow Pages, which is expensive and low volume, and that's not going to do anything for you in the next couple of weeks. You know, they only publish once a year, so if you're not in there, you're not going to get any help for at least a year. And then there's radio, which is, you know, kind of outdated. And really the problem with all of these is that they're really inefficient. You know, most of the people, with the possible exception of the Yellow Pages, but most of the people who see your ads in these places are not interested in what you offer. They're not good prospects for you. So these are just inefficient forms of advertising. They don't tend to work quickly. And then the other thing that I'll say, and something that's not on this list, is referrals, which is absolutely, positively my favorite option to get new business. The problem with referrals, though, is most small businesses generally don't get enough of them, and they don't get them consistently. So with that all said, let's look at what we're going to talk about today, which is Google. Now, please note this is not about SEO or Google Maps or Google Places. This is something very different from that. But before we get into it, let's just ask the question, what is the biggest difference between Google and all the others? Now, in a moment, I'm going to share with you the #1 way in 2015 to generate tons of high-quality leads via Google in as little as a few hours after launching your campaign. And you're going to learn exactly why many local business owners don't succeed with it, but how you can after you see what I'm about to show you. So before we do that, let's talk about why Google is king. The biggest reason is that when a client is searching on Google, they are a red-hot lead that is searching, finding, and calling you. Okay? These are people actively looking for you. They type in a keyword, a search term that represents a need, a desire, a quest for information. And it represents the #1 issue on their mind at that very moment. So if they type in something that's related to what you can help them with, that is the ideal mindset for your prospect to be in. You know, these are people who have taken an action and are much closer to becoming a client than someone that you interrupt with the advertising methods that we talked about just a moment ago. Now, there are a few other important things that set Google apart from the competition. First is they have 6 billion searches a day. And again, every one of those searches represents a need, a desire, a quest for information. And if you can scratch the itch of even a tiny fraction of those people, you can do very well advertising on Google. This is where your prospects are searching for local businesses just like yours. Another thing about Google to understand is that about 33% of all online ad revenues go to Google. The only thing I want to mention about that is this number would not be so big if all those companies, big and small, investing all that money were not, on average, making a return on their investment. Again, there are going to be companies that don't make money investing their advertising dollars in Google, but when you're smart about it, when you use the methodology that we're going to teach you today, you increase your odds of success tremendously. Now again, I mentioned we're not going to be talking about SEO. SEO is a good long-term investment, but there is only one way to generate high-quality leads in as little as a few hours and be at the top of Google for hundreds of different keywords and keyword variations. And the answer is Google AdWords, which is Google's pay-per-click advertising platform. Now, I'm going to say this, Google AdWords is the greatest advertising platform channel ever created. And it sounds like hype, but I truly believe this. Not to say that Google AdWords is the best for every type of business out there, but it is the #1 lead gen strategy for local service businesses. And again, as I mentioned before, there's a lot of confusion. There are a lot of myths and misconceptions about AdWords and how it works and how to get it to work. But if you stick with us, you're not going to be confused for long. You're going to have a much better understanding than most business owners and even ad agencies and consultants about how to make AdWords work in generating leads for your local business. So let's talk a little bit more about what's really so great about AdWords. #1 is it's pay-per-click. You only pay when someone clicks on your ad. Again, compare that to traditional advertising methods that we talk about, TV, radio, newspaper. Doesn't matter how many people see your ad. Doesn't matter how many of those people are actually interested in what you offer, you pay the same set amount. That's not the case with AdWords. With AdWords, the only time you're going to pay is when somebody sees your ad, is interested enough to click on it, and actually goes to your website. Here is the search results page for Google. This is for the search term immigration lawyer Los Angeles. A couple of things that I want to point out here that are really important to understand. #1 is look at how the ads dominate. The top 3 listings on this page are Google AdWords ads. And also these these ads over here down the right-hand side are AdWords ads as well. Somebody did the calculation. It wasn't me. I'm not going to sit there and count pixels. But what they determined is that for search terms that have high commercial value, about 85% of the pixels on the search results page are taken up by AdWords ads. And if you look here, again, the ads dominate. There's just one organic listing, and there are a couple of Google Maps listings, but everything else here is AdWords. And the reason why, and really this is an important figure to understand because it really gets to the heart of why AdWords is so powerful. 90% of Google's revenue comes from AdWords. So if you think it's a mistake that 85% of the pixels on this page are taken up by AdWords ads, you got another thing coming. Google has slowly have had these ads creep more and more and become more and more prominent in the search results pages over time because this is how they make most of their money. One other thing I want to mention here is that position on the page makes a big difference. The first listing on a page generally gets 42% of clicks. Next one drops down to 12. Then that goes down to 8%, and then 6% by the time you get to the fourth listing, which is the organic listing. Now, you see different numbers here. I saw another study that showed just 42% of the clicks go to the top AdWords ads, and about 10% go to the SEO listings. Whatever the actual numbers are, most people are clicking on the AdWords ads when you're looking for keywords with commercial intent. And one other thing I want to add, and actually Bert brought this stat to my attention. A lot of people I talk to say, oh, I never click on the ads, so I don't want to do AdWords. Well, first of all, I'll tell you, a lot of people do click on the ads. But second of all, less than, or is just under 50% of people don't even know those are ads. So even though you may think nobody clicks on the ads, about half the population doesn't even know what they're clicking on. So again, a lot of people are clicking on the AdWords ads, and again, they tend to click on the ones toward the top of the page. Just want to spend a couple more minutes talking about what sets AdWords apart from the competition. And again, just to help you understand what sets it apart and why it is such a powerful platform. Number one is you can get nearly instant page one rankings. Again, SEO takes time and there are no guarantees for success. But with AdWords, you launch your campaign and you can have your ads appearing within a matter of minutes on the first page of Google. And if you bid high enough, you can pretty much guarantee yourself a spot on that first page. I also want to say, SEO versus pay-per-click, a lot of people ask me about that, and I think that's the wrong question. I think the better question is, can you do SEO and or pay-per-click profitably? Because if the answer is yes, then you do both. And again, I'm not here to dismiss SEO because I think it is a viable option. But when we're talking about a situation where you need to generate leads quickly, where you want to be able to measure your ROI closely, I think pay-per-click is the place to start. We talked about how you can start small and scale things up massively. Again, it's all about proof of concept. You want to know what your ROI is, and we only scale things up for clients when we know that they're making a profit, and we can do that by expanding geography, by expanding keywords, by increasing bid prices, things like that. But you don't have to, as I said before, you don't have to go all in up front. You can start small and gradually build up over time. Geographic targeting, right? This is really important for a local business. You have a lot of control over where your ads appear when you run AdWords. So you can say, show my ad statewide, or just show my ad in these metro areas, or this metro area, or these zip codes, or these counties, or these cities, or here's the city my business is in, show ads in a 20-mile radius or 40-mile radius. You have complete control over that. And even more than just geographically, you just, from a larger scale, larger view, you have a tremendous amount of control over your entire AdWords account, which, again, I think is one of the reasons why it's such a powerful platform. And then lastly, the little guy can still win. I don't think anybody on this webinar ran an ad during the Super Bowl. I know I sure didn't. There are simply places where big companies can outspend the little guy, and we just, we can't compete. AdWords is not one of those places. You can outsmart your competition. You can have better, a better executed campaign and end up outcompeting the bigger, deep-pocketed businesses. And part of the reason is that there's this algorithm in Google called Quality Score. And what Quality Score does is it rewards those who do things right, who do things better. So if you have better performing ads than your competition, you can actually have your ads rank higher than theirs, but pay less than they do per click. So because of that algorithm, because of Quality Score, again, AdWords is one of those places where the little guy can still win. So before I go any further, Bert, I'm going to turn things over to you for a minute and see if there are any questions that have come up, anything like that so far.
Nope, nothing crazy. Susan did ask if the webinar is going to be recorded, and it is recorded, and it will be posted up afterwards as well. I don't know the link or anything like that yet, but I guess you'll have that at the end.
We will send it out.
But yeah, that was pretty much the main one that I answered. That was pertaining to. So.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. Well, let's talk about the 4 obstacles that prevent many local business owners from having success with AdWords. And the number 1 is a bad campaign setup. I could do an entire webinar just on this one alone, and maybe I will in the future. But I just want to go over a few of the kind of the highlights. Setting up a campaign involves choosing the right keywords and settings and budget and bidding strategy and all those things. And having been behind the scenes of a lot of AdWords campaigns, I can tell you even a lot of agencies and consultants struggle with this. In fact, and I mean this in all honesty, the worst campaigns that I have ever seen set up were set up by Google employees. They have their offering, which sounds really nice of them, that, hey, you need help setting up an AdWords campaign, and we're here to help you. So, just reach out to one of our reps, and we'll get you started. Don't do that. That's the best advice I could give you. Don't do that because, first of all, Google's goal is to make revenue for themselves. And secondly, the people who will be setting up your campaigns are not business owners. They're, their account, they're new to marketing, to Google, and they just don't have the experience. So if they reach out to assist you, again, I would highly encourage you to say thanks, but no thanks. Other thing I will say about campaign setup is segmentation is really important. And by that I mean grouping your keywords based on how related they are to one another. So if you own a sporting goods store, group all the keywords related to baseball gloves together. Even better, group all the keywords related to men's baseball gloves together. Even better, group all the keywords related to left-handed men's baseball gloves together. The more you can segment your campaign and then send those keywords or show ads highly related to those keywords and send them to highly relevant landing pages, the more success you're going to have. That's about all I'm going to say when it comes to campaign setup. It is the minimum that you need for success, and it's something that even professional agencies that do this still struggle with. Now, the other 4 obstacles I'm going to share with you, I'm going to kind of breeze through them right now on this slide because each of them I'm going to go into in a little more detail. So I'm just going to mention them here. And they are not having a landing page or having an awful landing page, having horrible ads with low click-through rates, and a click-through rate is just of the number of people who see your ad, how many actually click on it. And then the last one is measuring the campaign or reporting the success of the campaign based on the wrong data. So we are going to talk about landing pages first. A client that is already running AdWords can often double their conversion rate just by using a good high-converting landing page. Excuse me. And we're going to share a template that that we found to be effective with you in a little bit. But first I want to talk about why are conversions and conversion rates so important to discuss. A landing page is where the action happens. It ultimately determines the success of your campaign. And again, most agencies or consultants totally ignore this part of things because it's not within AdWords itself. It's on your website, and it can be difficult to pull off effectively, but it is the key to your success. So why do they matter? Hey, Bert, you put this chart together. Do you want to jump in and go over it?
Yeah, there's no worries there. But essentially, what this shows is like if you look at the top rows, and I mean basically the top 5, I guess it is, and all that it's saying, if everything remains the same. So talking like the total, your total pay-per-click budget, is $5,000. Your traffic budget, so you have. You're spending $4,000, I'll say, to Google AdWords or whichever traffic that it might be, whichever traffic source that it might be, and then just a management fee. So that could be, I mean, with us it would be like an AdWords management fee, or to pay an agency or whatever it is to manage this. And these are just full-on ballpark numbers to make it nice and easy in a sense to just to explain essentially, right? So. And if that pay-per-click, if you're paying for each one of those clicks $1. You have 4,000 people that come into your site at a conversion rate of 2.5%. So out of those 4,000 people that visited your page, 2.5% of those people converted. You'd have 100 new leads or 100 leads at $50, to get those leads in, right? That's what the 2.5 conversion rate. So to the next one here is if everything remains the same, and then you've got a conversion rate of just another 0.25%. It's 110 leads that you would get, and your cost per acquisition actually goes down. And you can see $45.50 here versus $50. So it's, you're saving $4.50 there. And then to the just by increasing, I realize that you guys don't have my mouse, because I'm pointing to the screen, but to the far, which doesn't.
I will here.
Yeah. So in the red box there is. You can see, with a conversion rate of 3%, so just by increasing from 2.5 up to 3%, so that's 0.5%, the number of leads are now 120, and that's like once again with all other variables remaining the same. You still have 4,000 people coming into the bucket or into the funnel. 3% of those are converting. You have 120 new leads now at a cost per acquisition of $41.67. Now, with that though, is like this is huge in the sense that you can now actually pay more for your leads, right, than everybody else, because everybody else, if they have a lower conversion rate, you can actually pay more for those leads, and you're not losing as many people through the holes in the bucket, in a sense, right? So I mean, like I said, so 4,000 visitors, you're losing less people through the holes in the bucket, with a higher conversion rate. So that's why conversions are extremely important, part of the funnel per se, right? So it doesn't do. Most guys think that driving traffic is just gonna, just throw more traffic at it, but you got to plug the holes in the bucket, and this is exactly what increasing that conversion rate is, plugging the holes in the bucket. That makes sense.
Awesome, thank you. Yes, I couldn't have said it better myself.
Cool.
Now, think about that for a moment, okay? So 20 more leads, just boosting the conversion rate from 2.5% to 3%. If you're a chiropractor and you convert just 2 of them, 10% of those 20 extra leads, and you turn them into new clients, that's an extra 15 grand in revenue for your practice. And that's based on Billing Precision, who does work with chiropractic offices. That's their estimate of a $7,500 lifetime value of a chiropractic patient. Over the course of a year, 2 more patients each month means an extra $180,000 to that practice. Now, the numbers for your business are going to be different. But again, we're talking about a very small increase in conversion rate and just converting a small percentage of those. The numbers for your business may be much greater or might be less, but you can see that just little tweaks to conversion rates can have a very meaningful impact on your business. So let's look at an example of a real and awful landing page. Let's have you type in the chat box, what do you think of this landing page? What are there things you like about it? How could it be improved? We'll just take a few seconds and see what everybody comes up with.
Got bland.
Mm-hmm.
This has to be the awful one, says Elliot. So. Good guess.
Yeah.
Good guess.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of wasted space.
There's no call to action, no photo. Yeah.
No call to, yes, exactly. There's no call to action. What do you want, as a business owner, what do you want somebody to do when they get to your site? Well, tell them. There's nothing like that on this page. There's no contact info. There is a link to the contact us, but people don't like to click. Don't make them search for how to contact you. The copy on the page, you don't have to read it, but just trust me, it's horrible. It's all about the business. It's not about it's not who they work for. It's not about what they can do, what problems they help solve. So I don't want to dwell on this, but I think everybody gets the point. This is not the way you want your landing page to look. Now, this is a template that we came up with, just kind of like a wireframe. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. And in fact, if after the webinar you'd like a copy of this, email me at adam@wordsthatclick.com and I will send it to you. But we've had success with this template. It has a thin header at the top with just a small logo, call to action in the top right, and it's usually a phone number, a big phone number, and a call to action with the phone number. So it's for a free estimate call or call for a free case evaluation or something like that. Then we have the headline, and the headline should convey the main benefit or value proposition you offer your customers. A good headline is not law offices of whatever. It's not chiropractor Atlanta. A good headline is something like, would you like to instantly change your appearance and have a beautiful, healthy smile? That would work for a cosmetic dentist. Are you going through a difficult time facing issues such as divorce, child custody, child support? If the answer is yes, then tell them what to do. For a DUI attorney, you do something like discover the common misconceptions about the DUI process, the mistakes people make after being charged with a DUI, and why you need a lawyer. Give some value, convey some benefit in that headline. Also, you can continue it into the subheadline. Below that, we have a section for a video. Nothing long, like a minute-ish or so, but it tends to engage people more, keep them on the site. So, so we like to have video on the landing page whenever possible. Over here on the right-hand side, we have a form, and the form should have a call to action. Again, it's not just enter your contact information. It's give them a reason why they should enter their contact information. What are they going to get in return? And you can put that at the top, and even on the button. Get your free estimate now. Something like that. Underneath that, we have the proof zone. This is, how does your business stand out from the competition? What awards have you won? What clients have you worked with? What media appearances have you had? All those things can go over there in the proof zone. We have some room for text. It's short. Pay-per-click traffic tends not to have a long attention span. So we want to have short paragraphs, bullet points, so they can kind of summarize things or skim things pretty quickly and get the main gist. Have another call to action below that. And then we have the what we affectionately call the Keep Google Happy footer. Google, when you send people to a landing page, Google wants to see some links on that page. So link to your home page, a contact page, an about page, privacy policy, terms of service. All those things are important to have on that page. Bert, anything you want to add to that? I don't want to spend too much time on this because I know we're starting to get about 45 minutes in, but anything to add there?
And like I typed in the chat box there to email Adam for the template, but it does basically explain there. But definitely you want, I've been in some other like industries and whatnot, but to keep Google happy, they will, almost they'll shut you down, but it's just like they will flag you if you don't have that, that privacy policy in terms of service and that sort of thing at the bottom. So, but just, really just make it about the, and a lot of it is described there, but just, the value to the person landing on the page. Just give them good content is all, right? And design it for, definitely design it for them as opposed to Google in a sense, but you just still want to keep Google happy. So,
great, perfect, thank you. So let's talk about ads. A high-converting Google ad can also instantly double your leads. And the best part about this is when you have a high click-through rate, your cost per click goes down dramatically. We talked about quality score before, and having a high quality score can reduce what you pay for an ad. And the click-through rate of your ad is the #1 factor in quality score. So Google rewards you for having high converting ads. So if you double your click-through rate, not only are you going to get 2 times as many potential leads, but you're also paying a lot less per click. So, win-win. So here's an example, a good ad versus a bad ad. What do you guys notice about these 2 ads? Why does one stand out from the other?
One's bland and boring.
Yep.
More info from Elliot on the, yep. I guess that's in the top one, yeah.
Yep. So, one thing I'll say is having the local city name in the ad, not always, but tends to increase clicks. Their website URL, this section here is called the display URL, and you have to use your actual website domain, but you can add anything you want before it, so you could add like a subdomain, so miami.cabcokitchens.com, or like these guys did, add something after it. These guys didn't take advantage of that. There are things in AdWords. There's a, I don't know what you want to call it, but they're known as ad extensions. And ad extensions are a big part of the reason that this top ad stands out so much more. So they have location extensions, which allows them to show their address with their ad. They have a call extension to show their phone number. They have site link extensions, which lets them, #1, put more copy in it, in their ad, but also get people to the information they want more quickly. So if somebody typing in remodeling is really interested in all wood cabinets, well, they could click here, And ideally, I didn't test this, but ideally this goes to the page on the website talking about all wood cabinets. The ad extensions take up a lot of space and help your ad stand out. So that goes a long way toward improving click-through rates. And if you use them effectively, it can be a great way to improve the performance of your campaigns. So let's talk about tracking the data that really matters. And this is where a lot of people fall short. If you're running a marketing campaign, what is the most important thing you need to know? And again, most local business owners that I talk to don't know what their advertising is producing. They get confusing reports that tell them about keywords and click-through rates and number of clicks and things like that. And at the end of the day, AdWords is not about those things. It's about leads. And the challenge, and this really gets to the heart of how we've changed our business model and the way we do things for local business owners, is tracking leads has been a huge challenge for local business owners because most of your leads come via phone calls. And up until recently, there has not been a good way to track those calls and get an understanding of what your AdWords account is really producing. But now there's such a thing known as dynamic call tracking. What dynamic call tracking does, is it allows you to track calls back to the keywords in the ads that are making the phone ring. Now, and I want to be clear about this because there are plenty of call tracking options out there, and you could see, okay, well, we got X number of calls from AdWords traffic this month, and that's fine. That helps you start to measure your ROI. But what most of those call tracking options don't do is let you count calls as conversions in AdWords. And the system that we use actually lets us track the keywords and the ads that are making the phone ring, which has totally transformed the way that we do business, because the keywords and ads that get the most clicks and have the highest click-through rates and all that aren't necessarily the ones generating the leads. I can tell you examples from campaigns where we have a keyword that generates $2,000 worth of clicks over the course of the month, and when we start measuring things, it only generates 1 or 2 calls. And then there are other keywords in that same account that only rack up like $500 worth of clicks, and they're generating 5 to 10 calls. That's critical information to know so you can optimize your campaign, and you end up with a situation where let your competitors waste their money on those keywords that don't produce the clients, and you focus your campaign on the ones that do. And by having this level of tracking, by getting this call information, it makes understanding your ROI so much more straightforward. And the reporting is so much more straightforward so that you know exactly what you spent and what your cost per lead is. And at the end of the day, Google AdWords is like a big ATM machine. And you should know that if you're putting in $1 that you're getting $2 or $3 or $5 or more in return. I mean, that's the least you should know. Or, it doesn't always work. So if you're only getting 50 cents or 75 cents in return, you need to know that too and decide, do I need to change a campaign, or should we shut it off and maybe invest in some other way of generating leads? Having the dynamic call tracking and being able to track things down to that ROI level, again, it has totally transformed the way that AdWords works and the way that we do things for clients. Okay, so I just want to do a quick recap of what we talked about so far. We talked about why AdWords. We talked about how it really stands out from the competition because of the prospect's mindset and that you can generate leads quickly and controllably and consistently. We talked about high converting landing pages. We talked about the importance of high converting ad copy. We talked about dynamic phone tracking and how that leads to knowing your ROI. I have a question for you, but before I do, I want to see if you have any questions for me. Bert, has anything popped up?
Sorry, I didn't unmute myself. No, what's the one question was, what was like sort of the minimum sort of investment, or like an average investment? Hold on, just read the rest of it, and like a time frame, like time frame for like kind of seeing some results in a sense. A bit of a vague question, but
No, and I don't have any concrete answer because it varies based on where you are in the country and what niche you're in. I talked to an attorney in Los Angeles the other day, and I basically told him, he's in for a dogfight, and if he's not willing to spend $3,000 to $5,000 a month to start, to at least test out the traffic and see if you could generate an ROI, it's going to be difficult to pull off. But at the other end of the spectrum, if you have a plumbing business in Des Moines, you probably get started for $500, if not less, and test the traffic, see if it works, and scale up from there. And as far as how long, it takes 2 to 3 months to really get an AdWords campaign stabilized. Google kind of puts you in a little bit of a sandbox to start. But that said, we launched a campaign last week, and it's already generating phone calls for that business owner. Now, over time, we should be able to improve things and get more phone calls, but again, this is something that can work in a number of hours after launching a campaign. Doesn't always happen, but it can. And again, that's part of the power of AdWords is that it does work quickly. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I think so. And if not, they can respond back. But also, Glenn and John were asking essentially the same question. What solution to use for dynamic call tracking, and what is the name of a good call tracking system? So both the same sort of question.
So I don't share this with everybody, but I will tell you guys. The company that we've been using is Bionic Click, and the system works. At the end of the day, the system works. I've had some, in all honesty, I've had some struggles at times getting a quick response from them, but usually within a day or two, I get everything resolved and I get an answer to my question or the problem's fixed or whatever. So, customer service, I'd say they're average, but what their system can do, I don't know anybody else that can do it the way they do.
And I typed that into the chat box there just so everybody knows.
Okay.
Or at least I hope it's there.
So just, in the interest of wrapping things up on time, I got a question for everybody. What would it mean to you to be able to generate high-quality leads that turn into clients for your business within days, if not hours, of launching an AdWords campaign? I mean, seriously, think about that for a minute. I mentioned the Best in Business award that we've won the last 4 years, and my favorite part of that process is that a lot of clients will email me or copy me on what they email Small Business Monthly, the organization that runs that voting. And I just want to share some of those with you. So here's one from a client that says, our efforts have been instrumental in helping us grow from 600, call them contractors last fall, to over 1,200 nationally across 14 markets. Now, this is a national company, but they operate, local offices. We took a 4 to 5 year old mature campaign and helped increase conversion rates by 30% and decrease cost per lead proportionately. The resulting lower cost per lead has increased lead flow and allowed them to more confidently enter new major markets and reach profitability faster. And it kind of goes on from there and says, like all service businesses, the difference between best in class and good is quite substantial. Here's another client, an attorney, who says, Adam's a pleasure to deal with. He's kind, considerate, and above all, communicates with us. In the time he's been representing my firm, we have seen a marked improvement in our gross dollars coming in on a monthly basis, along with a steadier and healthier cash flow. I would rate him the best. Here's another one. I would nominate Adam and Words of Click for Best Marketing Firm. I found Adam through an ad proving that he does what works for him, or what he does works for him, sorry. Adam took a very poorly executed AdWords campaign and boosted results tremendously. We had a click-through rate that was around 0.3%, and last month our click-through rate exceeded 5%. I told Adam I wanted to do 3 things: lower cost, get more clicks, and get better quality clicks, and he exceeded on all 3. And then the last one, I have the privilege of being a client of Words That Click. I can assure you that they are what every independent marketing firm should aspire to be. They exemplify a magic mix of professional yet personal, top-line driving without bottom-line crushing, and Adam has a perfect mix of effective communication while avoiding indecision or information overload. And it's my hope that they receive this honor as my firm conviction that they deserve it. So do you see the potential for your business? Do you see how the strategies that you and I covered today, the better landing pages, the better ads, the tracking calls, and understanding your ROI could transform your marketing by using tactics that even most consultants don't know about to thoroughly optimize your AdWords campaign and pinpoint your ROI? And really what I just showed you is the tip of the iceberg of what we're able to do for clients, because lead generation for local business owners is what we do day in and day out. I stay on the cutting edge so clients don't have to. I'm managing millions of dollars worth of ad spend. As Bert mentioned at the beginning, we're in that mastermind group and we're sharing the deep dark secrets of AdWords that all of us find and are doing things that I don't think 0.5% of the people managing AdWords campaigns know about. So all that said, when you get to the point in your business where you realize that you need an expert in AdWords, now you know who to turn to. Now, if you get to that point, the question is, are we a good fit? And we rarely take on more than 1, sometimes 2 clients at a time. And I'll share more on why in a moment. But the big reason is we don't want to work with hundreds or thousands of firms, of clients. I've been in this industry long enough. I've talked to enough people who run agencies and have worked at big agencies, and high-level pay-per-click management just doesn't scale well. It is very hard to maintain and put out a quality product at an affordable price when you are trying to do it for thousands or even hundreds of businesses. That said, if you even think that you might want me to work with you, then here's the process for seeing whether or not we'd be a good fit for each other. Again, we have to be picky because I won't take on a client unless they meet one of these, all of these 5 criteria. Number 1 is we're not working with a competitor. We're exclusive in who we work with. So if we're already working with a chiropractor in Atlanta, we're not going to work with one of his competitors or her competitors. We just don't think that's ethical. We want to make sure that producing an ROI is very likely. As I said, I talked to that attorney in Los Angeles the other day, and I told him, I said, I think the system we have gives you the best shot at success, but you are in one of the most competitive niches in one of the most expensive cities for keywords in the country. So, if you want to give it a shot, you have to have a lot of other things in order to really make this campaign a success. And I'll get to what those other things are in just a minute. Number 3 is we like each other. I do what I do because I really enjoy it. I enjoy AdWords. I enjoy working with my clients. And if you don't like me or hopefully you like me by this point. If you're stuck around this long through the webinar, hopefully you think I'm at least halfway decent. But you know, life is too short, so you know, I want to make sure that we get along and we like each other if we're going to work together. You know, again, and this goes back to the ROI point. You really need to have a strong sales and support system in place. And by that I mean when phone calls come in, they're being answered immediately, or if not, returned quickly. You get quotes out quickly, because all we can do is drive the leads to your doorstep. We can't close the deal for you. And having that strong sales and support system in place goes a long way towards you know, how much of an ROI you get on your campaign. So we really want to work with companies that have that in place, because they're the ones that we can get the best results for. And then lastly, we want to work with businesses that have a desire to grow. As I said before, we can start off small, but we have other tricks up our sleeve, and we can scale things up massively. So we want to work with clients that want to grow, that have that desire. So now that you've seen just a taste of what's possible, then here's a quick way to see if we'll work well together. Simply go to localbizroi.com and fill out the strategy request form there. There are just 5 questions plus your contact details that will tell you if you're the type of business that we can help. Once you fill out that form, you'll hear from my assistant Jessica within a business day. And if we think that we can help you, then she'll set up a time for you and I to discuss things further. And that's really all there is to it. Again, localbizroi.com. And that's really the bulk of what we have to share with you today. And 2 minutes after 3, a little bit over. But I will stick around for a few minutes for questions for anybody that has them. And even before, if you have to jump off, I just want to offer my sincere appreciation for you taking the time to be on this webinar with us today. I hope it was valuable. I hope you got you know, some key takeaways that you can go back to your business and have some success with. So thank you.
Adam, I'll just answer, you know, people still on the call, but just a quick, is call tracking something that's something that works for mobile calls only? No, it's it can also go on. It basically it's a piece of code that goes onto your website, and it dynamically inserts a piece of or a dynamic or a well, just a dynamic call, dynamic phone number, for lack of better words. So it'll change every time essentially that someone you know, types in the keyword or lands on your landing page. It'll dynamically insert a different phone number that will match to that particular keyword, so you can track everything right down to, you know, what keyword triggered that phone call, essentially. So, and just as another sort of clarification, and the question is all the same sort of thing. Do you help write the ads, and do you help manage campaigns, and do you do landing pages? But yes, this is all it is all basically, for the most part, it's almost a full-on done-for-you service. For the most part, there's still work on your end. You know, we need help. You know, without you and the owner and knowing your business and all that jazz, there's to a certain degree, I'll say, homework or questions up front on your end. We just want to know about your business. We can't market your business if we don't know anything about it. And
yeah, if we were to work, when we work with companies, we schedule like a 30 to 60 minute kickoff call, and we'll go over kind of the technical details of the AdWords campaign. What do you want to set your budget at? What areas you want to advertise in? Things like that. But the main point of that call is just to get to know your business better, to kind of extract key information from you about your business, what sets it apart, what are the struggles that your clients have, those sorts of things that end up going into the landing pages and the ads.
Mm-hmm. And I have to say, too, that this, without going too long, but this also will help with your business in general, because we understand how to market a business, in the sense that to help a lot of this testing you can actually use on other marketing materials, because you'll test it here and you'll know what works and what doesn't work. in a sense, right? So it's just, this is like kind of, to a certain degree only the start, and Google AdWords is a good place to kind of like, a great testing ground to figure out for other marketing material essentially. So without getting into it too deep. I think that's it, Adam.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you everybody for joining us today, and hope you enjoy the rest of your day or evening, depending where you are. Take care. And Bert, thank you for helping out today.
My pleasure.
It.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Right. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.